Okay, so lab 3, the simple stain. Simple stain is basically I just want my bacteria to pick up enough stain so that I can see them under the microscope. Because remember, without stain, there isn't enough contrast for you to actually see your bacteria under the microscope. So the whole purpose of this is giving us contrast so that we can see the bacteria under our microscope as the light passes through it. Now, why is it that the stain works the way that it does? So, this actually has to do with ionic charges. So, remember, way back in general biology, when we talked about ions, we talked about the fact that positives and negatives really like each other, like two magnets that go, okay? So, inside of our bacterial cell, the cytoplasm, the gooey inside of that, is actually negative, okay? Most of the stains that we use are positive. So, we've got negative and positive, two completely opposite charges that when you put them together, they're going to stick to each other. So, the acidic stain really likes the negative cytoplasm and will stain that for us, okay? In the example that you have, I believe he uses crystal violet or methylene blue. These are kind of our standard stains that we use when we are going to do a simple stain. Uh, the way that we do this, we stain, okay, we let it sit. One second. Sorry. Okay, so we put the methylene blue, I'm going to go with that one as a dye that we're going to use, onto our circle that we have marked when we made our bacterial smear. You don't need a whole ton. As long as you kind of cover that circle, that's fine. Let it sit for 1 minute. Now, we're not looking for contrast. It's a simple stain. We're not looking to put any new dyes or anything. Simple stain. So after it's sat for 1 minute, I hope that's the right word. After it has been there for 1 minute, you take a squirt bottle with water in it, you kind of tilt it sideways, and then you rinse it off. Now, in the video, you saw him take bibulus paper. It's a booklet with paper that can absorb moisture, and basically dry the slide by putting it in between the layers of paper and drying the slide. You want to put the slide down and then put the booklet on top. You don't want to touch the slide while the layers are there, because if you do, it's like a squeegee. It'll take the bacteria right off. Don't want to do that. You just want to press, open. If it's still wet, kind of scoot it over, press, open. If it's still wet, scoot it over or flip to another section. But you are not moving that slide around while it's compressed in between those layers. Because if you do that, most likely what's going to happen is your bacteria is going to get wiped off. Okay? Once it is dry and once it is done, you will see kind of a blue smudge on your slide. Okay? 1 second. Well, actually, he showed you that in that video. You'll see the blue smudge and it kind of looks irregular, and that's okay. Remember something. When I taught you how to use the scope, I said we always start on the lowest power. So it would be 4x. When you start to focus at 4x, you are going to see teeny tiny dots. You are not going to see huge bacteria because 4x isn't a big enough magnification to see that. So you're going to see teeny tiny little dots. Now, like I showed you in the microscope video, remember that you gotta get what you're looking for. I just stained these methylene blue. So I'm looking for blue, not gray spots, right? So I keep going until I see blue spots. Then I increase the magnification, refocus. Increase the magnification, refocus. Even though we are using a microscope to see these microscopic creatures, you still have to remember that they are so tiny. They're smaller than any eukaryotic organism that you can think of. So, push comes to shove, you may not be able to see all the little teeny tiny details because we're not magnifying that much. Okay. But you should still be able to tell shape. Is it a coccus? Is it a spiral? Or is it a bacillus? Is it a hot dog? Is it a circle like a grape? Or is it a spiral like a slinky? Using 40x, 400 times what your naked eye can see, you should be able to at least tell the basic shape. Okay,